We're live.
Hi, I'm Marcy Dwyer. I'm with Meeting Coordinators Incorporated. I'm a meeting planner with 20 plus experience, a lot of experience with national organizations, corporate meetings, and association and nonprofit events. I'm also fortunate enough at this point in my career to be on a few nonprofit boards, so very engaged in the meeting and association industry. Today we are doing a on-demand mini webinar to give further information and outreach to our meeting planning colleagues across the state of Michigan and across the country. We were lucky enough to be involved in an event that was hosted by Kim Cochran from Destination Meetings Up North, and that was a live streaming event. This particular program is done with simple tools, using an iPhone to do the video recording, and then posting on YouTube and sharing on Facebook. We just wanted to highlight there are many different methods of sharing this information among your colleagues and among your members and attendees. So there have been countless requests for information via phone, via direct conversations, via email, where fellow colleagues have been asking about using technology. There's no one right answer for any particular organization. So what we're trying to do on our resource page is to give you links to the best information on making your technology decisions. Again, you've heard of Zoom meetings, GoToWebinar. There are many different platforms for hosting some of your conference call or webinar type events. There are different ways that you can share information. So I just want to go through some of the generics and then point you back to our resource page for you to find more in particular information. So through some of the generic headings. Right now, for a lot of meeting planning offices, such as this one, the office itself has had to have been closed. Staff are working remotely from home, only critical staff are coming in if they absolutely have to. And so I think a lot of meeting planners adjusted to that pretty smoothly because we were all used to working 24/7 in various locations. But the ways of communicating with your attendees or with your committees, there is conference call meetings, and Zoom seems to be rising as a very popular platform. There's presenting information that where you do have audience and engagement and interaction, so you can use GoToMeetings, GoToWebinars, or Zoom webinars, which is a different part of that company. There is direct just conference call with no video. There is one way of getting information to a group of people is if a lot of members are asking some of the same questions. You could put out something like an online survey through the various survey tools. You're gathering information from a large group of people, but then through the survey you can summarize it and present it back to them. So you don't always have to have a conference call to gather information. You can use some of those tools. So we want to give you some of those tips on our resource page and send you links to articles and making decisions on what would be best for you. Don't hesitate though to reach out to your colleagues and your peers in your own backyard. They're facing some of the same challenges. One of your colleagues may have more experience with one particular tool than another. It is a great time to reach out to each other, share information, and share ideas. And don't hesitate to ask us if we can help you. Our email and information is on our resource page, which you'll see here.
Marcy, here's something that I want to ask you is you are always so calm, cool, and collected. Let me just say, when the news first hit, what was the first thing that you did for your associations?
For my organization and some of the other things I work with, the first thing I did was go back to what we already had as a procedure, which I call a communication plan. We went back to how does communication work for the organization, and we sent that out with next action steps to all the key stakeholders. So reminding the board and committee chairs, the president is the only one who can speak for the organization. This is how information flows in and flows out, and this is what to expect. At that point, we still had some unknown decisions in terms of go, no-go dates for canceling events and information. But by going back to that communication plan and procedure, we were able to kind of lay the groundwork for what would be happening. That was very, very helpful, I think, for all organizations. Likewise, then, knowing how we were going to communicate information to attendees and to members so that all the stakeholders understood what was happening.
So you would say that your communication to your board and to your members tripled what you would normally do?
It has been a really busy 2 weeks.
I
I think communication for a lot of committee chairs and board members has definitely doubled, tripled, quadrupled. I know there are some organizations who can't even put a measurement on the amount of time that they've given to improve getting the right information to the right people this time. And I have to applaud the whole nonprofit world and the good they're doing out there in connecting people to information and ideas.
Thanks, Marcy. I think that was great. And you have given us a number of formats that I know we have used across the board, even with all of our clients.
I was also pleased to see, as again, we've been participating in other organizations' video chats or webinars, that the meeting industry as a whole has done a great job of sharing ideas and tips. So if you're not currently part of a Facebook group in your region, I encourage you to log into some of the places that are centralizing information and sharing ideas. It's a great time to reach out to colleagues so that if they come across that idea, they can share it with you and vice versa. There's a lot of good sharing and information going across the airwaves.
Like today.
I'd like to then turn this over to Ann Brutel. Ann Brutel is the CEO and president of Meeting Coordinators, and we're going to be having a dialogue and handling some questions that we've received over the past 2 weeks, just to share more information out there on what's happening in the industry.
Hello, my meeting planning friends. We are very happy to be here. I'm happy to be here today with Marcy Dwyer, of course, with this wonderful problem solving for meeting planners. I probably know most of you that are watching this. I've been in the industry now for over 30 years. Owned meeting coordinators for actually, as of this July, it'll be 32 years. And so I'm not going to say that I started at 5, so you can imagine. There's been a little experience around the block here. But basically what I want to remind everyone of is that, we've all been up and we've all been down, but we get through it. This is what we do as meeting planners. This is our expertise. The problems are thrown at us every single day. And so this one is a little bigger than most. I will guarantee you that. But believe me, we've been through 9/11. We've been through the downturn of 2008 and 9 and 10, however long that one lasted. How about the one that we had to go through with Y2K when we were afraid that all of our computers and all of our data was going to be frozen and gone forever? Many of you, like myself, and Marcy could even address this herself too, we've been through strikes where the auto industry was on strike, the Detroit Free Press was on strike, and we had to go through all of that and the terrible devastation that all of those things cost. But what that did for us is it gave us a lot of experience. Now this one is pretty big. We're going to be down, who knows what the estimate is for how long we'll be down, but I'm here to help you. Marcy is here to help you, and between our staff, I don't even want to add it up, but I know that there's over 100 years experience here. So let us help you today.
Wow, you're bringing back memories of double bookings and shortages and all kinds of crises from the past.
We've been through it, Marcy.
But how can this time of crisis be for us now?
Well, here's the thing. This is the first time that we've ever had business stop. All the times that all those other things that I've mentioned to you before, whether it was strikes or downturns in the economy or the Y2K, we had to keep trudging on through it. Well, we're lucky now. We can actually stop and take a look at where are we today, what do we need to be doing, what are we doing with our associations or our corporations, the events that we've had in the past, do we continue them, do we not continue them? I think we need to break the mold right now. And you will discover that your membership will probably be very engaged in new practices. Typically, people don't like change, but this is not a typical time, is it? So change can definitely be embraced by your membership, and we can create a new world. We can create that what if world that we've all been looking for. Maybe, I've heard of a group, and this was before this situation happened, where they wanted to increase their sponsorship dollars. So instead of actually getting all of their income from membership, they did across the board free membership. So you can imagine how many thousands of members all of a sudden came onto their organization. It was phenomenal. So because they had such a base, they could charge their suppliers or sponsors a lot more money. So it's those kind of things that we need to take a look at right now and take advantage of.
So, Ann, I know we've heard from people who have gotten through canceling their programs for the next 2 months, communicating to their attendees and to their members, posting resources on their websites, and connecting people to each other via Zoom meetings and conference calls. But now you're saying there's time for a pause. What do meeting planners do now?
Well, first things first, if you haven't done it already, I think we all need to analyze what our bylaws are. Your bylaws may or may not have taken into account this type of business stoppage, I'll say. I don't know what the better word would be to use, but in view of the fact that we're all on pause, and how do decisions get made? How do monies get transferred? How do members vote on certain issues? So I think you need to take a look first at your bylaws and find out what are you allowed to do right now and what changes need to be made to the bylaws so that you can continue business in a more productive and efficient way.
With bylaws and with technology, if your bylaws say that you have to do a U.S. mailing or this, that, and the other, are you hearing that people are still following those rules, or how are they starting to have that bylaw change process go?
Well, I think that there have to be some executive decisions being made. That's primarily it, and that's why I say you have to look at your bylaws. What can your executive committee do that, or does your entire full board have to do? And in that case, then, about the differences in types of technology that we have, whether it be a Zoom program or a conference call or a webinar, in order to make all of those decisions. But yeah, you have to take a firm grasp hold on knowing what your bylaws will or will not allow your association to do.
Do you have anything else that people should focus on now?
Well, we're very lucky right now because of the fact that we have always been ahead of the curve with our technology. The meeting planners and executive assistants and hoteliers, all of us have really been tuned into technology more so than almost any other business. And so therefore then a lot of these terminologies that we all throw around with gobo lights and webinar and upload, download, and all of those terms, we're familiar with them that other industries are not that lucky like we are. So we can turn to those and may give you a little bit of an update on types of things that are available to us at our fingertips, that some cost a little bit more than others, but they're all available to us. And keep in mind, you've got all of these friends in the industry. Everybody is looking for success. Everyone wants your meeting to be successful. They want their property to be successful. They want their facility to be successful. Visual companies don't want to go out of business. So all of us, this is a time when we can gather together and be stronger than ever.
And so what are some problem-solving tips for meeting planners that you might have right now?
Well, I think we're going to have to be very creative. One issue that obviously has come up, I mean, just even today, I think I heard that the Mackinac conference was going to be postponed. That, the normal time frame, now it's booked into later dates. Well, as that starts to happen, that August, September, October, November, those dates are going to get booked up pretty fast. And then I don't want us to panic when that happens, because what that will do for us is we will start to be able to look at other creative locations. I mean, maybe in the past you've never considered that you do an event at the zoo or the DIA or a bank building that is empty, that currently doesn't have any tenants. You could, take a look at that from real estate perspective and see who owns the building and what you could do there. So there could be a lot more creative events coming up, which I look forward to, because in my eyes, those are the most fun. Doing something that is out of the norm. We can all, in my respect to my fellow suppliers that, have the hotels and conference facilities. But in addition to those, I think we can find some creative space. I'll give you an example. We had a meeting up north not too long ago. It might have been about a year ago now. But the good thing was that the meeting grew double in size than what we had thought it was going to be. So instead of canceling, 500 reservations and only lock it into the 500 that we could hold, what we did instead is we talked with our AV supplier and said, what are our other options here? And we ended up taking monitors, your regular TV monitors, putting them in various hallways and reception areas, and setting up some chairs, some comfy chairs, so that the broadcasts from the meeting rooms or the general session were being transferred to these monitors. And people absolutely loved it. We were so worried that they were going to complain that, oh my gosh, I didn't get to sit in the general session room. They loved being in the hallway, which was shocking, because but to them, they could have their laptop or their phone in their hand, they could be doing work still, and they could be talking to their neighbor, and they were not disrupting the speakers. And it ended up, I did not get any complaints, not a one from that conference. Shocked me to no end. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. There are ways, and now the AV company that we use is certainly recommending that to others. And so he asked if we could use us as a reference to let them know that it worked and how successful it was, and I'd be happy, obviously, to do that. But there are those kind of tips that we need to be, learning from one another as to what it is that we can do from this day forward.
And there's been a variety of questions people have asked about dealing with this crisis and dealing with their concern about the financial hardships. So one is, as we as nonprofits are trying to navigate through rebooking our meetings or facing venue fees, what can we do to minimize the financial impact?
Well, I'm not going to lie. You've got a tough road ahead of you on this one, because it is going to be a seller's market once this crisis passes over. So I think in your case, the best thing that you can do is pull out your crystal ball and book anything as far in advance right now as you can, because this is when you have negotiating power. You won't have as much negotiating power if in August you're trying to call and try and get something in November. So I will say for you, this is the time. This is the time that you can start negotiating. And perhaps you can work with some of your sponsors a little closer at this time, get them locked into possible sponsorships that they would consider that maybe they wouldn't consider otherwise. You could also entertain the idea of partnering with another organization that has a similar focus as yours, and so if you're tag teaming it, a lot of times that would be a good way for you to go. But I have to admit, total nonprofits or charity type organizations are going to have a little bit tougher time than, say, the professional industry, whether you're sales and marketing or you're a nurses organization or dentists, as the case may be with Marcy and the group, one of the groups that she manages. But yeah, I'll think on that a while more. If I can think of anything else, I will certainly pass those tips on to you.
And I know that we've been speaking to colleagues about, especially those who have a very limited budget. And so when they go to start rebooking their events, I think you mentioned creativity earlier. Right. Any encouragement on trying to minimize venue fees or what they might consider?
Well, again, I think they would be primed for special occasions. People are going to, here's the thing, people have been cooped up for however long this is going to be. They are going to be really looking forward to either outside events, creative events, something like that will get them mixing and milling with a group of people, not just their family members, as it currently has been. I will say that I did see a trend even over this last year as far as social events go, and that seems that casino nights or any kind of a gambling night or something like that is still pretty huge. I know for a number of years it was kind of frowned upon to do something like that, but I think it's back. And that would be a good way to go. People are loving to get together like that and maybe, throw a few chips across the table and see where Lady Luck brings them that day. But there is also, I don't know it right off the top now that I'm thinking about it, but I know that there are a couple of organizations that do online fundraising. That might be something that you look into. And also, I know some groups do online auctions where you have 5 or 10 items listed, and you offer them periodically to your membership, and see how the bidding goes on those. So that can be kind of fun. You can even try to start start something like that even right now.
So it sounds like you're giving a message of meeting planners have always been flexible. They've been using technology. They are problem solvers and creative. But you're encouraging all of us as meeting and event planners to take a pause and focus on the what ifs. Do you have anything more to add to that?
Well, I can say I love doing this, and we love sharing with everyone. So every month, and I don't know, it's been easily 20 years now, we do a monthly newsletter. And so in our newsletter at Meeting Coordinators, and we'll give you a reference to that, we pass out tips and pointers and what's going on in our little meeting planning world here at Meeting Coordinators that we'd love to be able to share with all of you. And as time goes on, we have done seminars and trainings, so if there are colleagues or something that need some additional help, we'd be happy then to do that too. So you'll start to see some more of that on the horizon. Happy to do it and happy to share this with you. As I said, it's meeting planning is in our blood, and I love to do it. Marcy loves to do it. Kathy on my staff, Deborah, Renata, all of us. This is what we love to do. So please get in touch with us.
And this has been a wealth of knowledge that we've shared. Any concluding remarks?
Thanks, Marcy, for monitoring the camera. And I think I think this is going to be a continued series. I think that another one of my colleagues is going to be doing another program next week from Specialty Events. Thanks, Marcy, for the prompt. From Specialty Events. And as this goes, we'll keep doing it as long as there are questions out there. So whatever you need help on, we're here to help so that we can hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, thanks again for joining me today. This was a lot of fun from my standpoint. I could almost see everybody out there watching this program today. But anyway, this is fun. We'd love to give out pointers. We'd love to share our knowledge with you. And so any questions that you have, please send them to us. And in addition to that, check out our website. Every month we print a newsletter from Meeting Coordinators that tries to give you tips and pointers of what's going on in the industry. So please send us those questions. Sometimes you can help me write my newsletter even if you like. So anyway, thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing all of you in person. But in the meantime, stay well, stay safe, and remember, 6 feet apart.